A heart attack can begin years before you feel chest pain. Most people imagine artery plaque like grease clogging a kitchen pipe, but your arteries are not pipes. They are living tissue. And the real danger is not always just that plaque slowly narrows the artery. The real danger is when plaque becomes inflamed, unstable, and suddenly breaks open. When that happens, your body reacts like there is an injury. It forms a clot, and if that clot blocks blood flow to the heart, that can trigger a heart attack. Plaque buildup can narrow arteries, and plaque can also burst and lead to a blood clot. So in this video, we are not going to talk about unclogging arteries, like pouring drain cleaner into your body. We are going to talk about something more accurate, more powerful, and more science-backed: how to protect your arteries by lowering the conditions that create plaque, inflame plaque, and make plaque dangerous. Because the goal is not a one-day cleanse. The goal is to make your arteries less injured, less inflamed, less oxidized, less stiff, and less likely to form unstable plaque over time. Before we begin, this video is for education only. If you have chest pressure, pain spreading to the arm, jaw, neck, or back, shortness of breath, cold sweat, sudden dizziness, or unusual fatigue, call emergency services immediately. A heart attack is a medical emergency. Now let's start with the truth most people never hear. Plaque is not just fat. Plaque is often your body's failed repair process. How plaque really forms inside your arteries. Inside every artery, there is a thin, delicate lining called the endothelium. Think of it like the protective skin inside your blood vessels. When it is healthy, it helps blood flow smoothly, helps the artery relax, helps control inflammation, and helps prevent unnecessary clotting. But when this lining is constantly under stress, the artery environment begins to change. High blood pressure can put mechanical strain on the artery wall. High blood sugar can create metabolic stress. Smoking can directly damage the artery lining. Poor sleep, chronic stress, insulin resistance, belly fat, and inflammation can make the artery environment more hostile. And when the artery lining becomes irritated or dysfunctional, cholesterol-carrying particles, especially LDL particles, can enter the artery wall more easily. LDL is often called bad cholesterol, but LDL itself is not evil. LDL has a job. It carries cholesterol and fat-soluble substances through the bloodstream. The problem happens when there are too many LDL particles circulating for too long, especially in an inflamed, high-sugar, high-pressure environment. This is what I mean by LDL traffic. LDL traffic means too many cholesterol-carrying LDL particles moving through the bloodstream for too long. The longer they stay elevated, the more opportunity they have to enter the artery wall, become trapped, and contribute to plaque. Once LDL enters the artery wall, it can become oxidized. Think of oxidation like rust. When metal rusts, it changes and becomes damaged. When LDL oxidizes, it also changes. It becomes more irritating to the immune system. Your immune system sees this oxidized LDL and sends in white blood cells to clean it up. But when the damage keeps happening, those immune cells become overloaded. They swallow too much oxidized LDL and turn into foam cells. Foam cells build up, inflammation builds up, the artery wall thickens, and over time, plaque begins to form. So here is the first major idea. Atherosclerosis is not just cholesterol sitting in your artery. It is cholesterol, immune activity, inflammation, tissue repair, and sometimes calcium, all trapped in the artery wall. The American Heart Association explains that cholesterol can join with other substances to form thick, hard deposits inside arteries, narrowing them and making them less flexible. That is why this video is different. We are not asking, what one food unclogs arteries overnight? We are asking a better question. What daily habits make the artery environment less friendly to dangerous plaque? Because heart attacks are usually not created by one meal. They are created by years of signals, years of high pressure, years of high sugar, years of inflammation, years of LDL exposure. years of oxidative stress, years of stiffness, years of silent damage. But the good news is this: many of those signals can change. To make this simple, picture the plaque process as 5 main forces: injury, LDL traffic, rust, pressure, and stiffness. Injury means the artery lining is irritated or damaged. LDL traffic means too many LDL particles are circulating for too long. Rust means LDL becomes oxidized and more inflammatory. Pressure means high blood pressure puts extra force on the artery wall. Stiffness means the artery loses flexibility over time, and plaque may become harder or calcified. The goal is to interrupt every part of this process, not with one miracle food, but with a system. Lower the injury, lower the LDL burden, lower the rust, relax the blood vessels, support healthy blood pressure, improve metabolic health, and build a lifestyle where plaque is less likely to grow, inflame, or rupture. Because the most dangerous plaque is not always the biggest plaque. Sometimes the most dangerous plaque is the unstable plaque. Stop feeding the artery injury. One of the biggest sources of artery stress is a diet high in added sugar and refined carbohydrates. Now, I want to be clear. Sugar does not literally scrape your arteries like broken glass. That image is dramatic, but it is not scientifically exact. A better way to explain it is this: a high sugar, high refined carbohydrate lifestyle can create a metabolic environment that injures the artery lining over time. When you constantly eat sugary drinks, desserts, white bread, pastries, chips, crackers, sweet coffee drinks, and ultra-processed foods, your body can be pushed toward blood sugar spikes, higher insulin demand, higher triglycerides, fatty liver risk, and inflammation. One process connected to this is called glycation. Glycation happens when sugar molecules attach to proteins or fats. This can create compounds called advanced glycation end products, also known as AGEs. AGEs can contribute to oxidative stress, inflammation, tissue stiffness, and vascular aging. That matters because arteries need flexibility. They need to expand and relax. They need to respond to blood flow. But when the blood vessel environment becomes more inflamed, more sugary, and more stiff, the artery lining becomes more vulnerable. So, cutting added sugar is not just about weight loss. It is about changing the environment your arteries live in. The American Heart Association recommends limiting added sugars, especially sugary beverages. It also notes that one regular 1-2 ounce soda can contain about 10 teaspoons of sugar. If you want the fastest artery-friendly upgrade, start with liquid sugar. Soda, sweet tea, fruit juice drinks, sweet coffee drinks, energy drinks, sweetened bottled teas, and dessert smoothies are easy to overconsume because they do not fill you up the way whole food does. Then reduce refined carbohydrates such as white bread, pastries, sugary cereals, cookies, crackers, chips, and ultra-processed snack foods. The goal is not to fear carbohydrates. The goal is to choose carbohydrates with structure. Beans, lentils, oats, barley, vegetables, berries, sweet potatoes, and whole grains come with fiber, minerals, water, and plant compounds that slow digestion and support metabolic health. So here is the first rule of artery protection: stop feeding the injury. Every time you replace a sugary drink with water, unsweetened tea, or sparkling water, you lower one source of metabolic stress. Every time you replace refined grains with fiber-rich whole foods, you change the message your blood vessels receive. Lower LDL traffic and support cholesterol cleanup. Now let's talk about LDL traffic. LDL is not evil, but high LDL, over time, increases the chance that LDL particles will enter the artery wall. And once LDL gets trapped inside the artery wall, it can oxidize, trigger immune activity, and contribute to plaque. This is why prevention matters before symptoms appear. The CDC explains that coronary artery disease is caused by plaque buildup in the arteries that supply blood to the heart. And for some people, the first sign of coronary artery disease is a heart attack. One of the best food tools for lowering LDL naturally is soluble fiber. Soluble fiber forms a gel-like substance in the digestive system. It can help bind cholesterol and bile acids in the gut. Since bile acids are made from cholesterol, your liver may use more cholesterol to make new bile acids. Over time, that can help lower LDL cholesterol. The best foods for soluble fiber are simple: oats, barley, beans, lentils, chickpeas, apples, citrus, okra, eggplant, and psyllium husk. This is why a bowl of oatmeal is not boring. It is a cholesterol-supporting tool. This is why beans are not just cheap protein. They are artery-supporting food. This is why lentils should not be seen as a side dish. They should be seen as one of the most underrated heart foods on the planet. A practical target is to include soluble fiber daily, not once in a while. Oats at breakfast, beans at lunch, lentils at dinner, fruit instead of dessert, vegetables with every meal. That is how you turn fiber into a daily cholesterol-lowering habit. Now let's add plant sterols. Plant sterols and stanols are natural compounds found in plant foods. They have a structure similar to cholesterol, so they can compete with cholesterol absorption in the gut. That means less cholesterol may be absorbed, and LDL cholesterol may modestly improve. Sources include nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, vegetables, and fortified foods. Pumpkin seeds, walnuts, lentils, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and other plant foods can all be part of a cholesterol-supportive diet. But we need to be honest. Plant sterols are helpful, but they are not magic. Foods or supplements containing plant stanols or sterols can reduce cholesterol levels when taken appropriately with meals, but they are only one part of cholesterol management, NCCIH. So do not build the whole plan around one seed, one nut, or one supplement. Build the whole plate: oats plus berries, beans plus greens, lentils plus vegetables, walnuts plus fiber, olive oil instead of butter, avocado instead of processed spreads. This is how you lower the LDL traffic jam with food. Now let's talk about your liver, because your liver is the cleanup crew. Your liver has LDL receptors. Think of these receptors like tiny catchers. Their job is to pull LDL particles out of the bloodstream. When LDL receptor activity is working well, your body clears LDL more efficiently. But when the system is overwhelmed by genetics, insulin resistance, fatty liver, poor diet, thyroid problems, or other health issues, LDL can stay in the blood longer. The longer LDL stays in circulation, the greater the opportunity for it to enter the artery wall. This is why lifestyle matters. And for some people, medication matters too. If someone has very high LDL, diabetes, previous heart disease, familial high cholesterol, high coronary calcium, or a history of stroke or heart attack, food alone may not be enough. That does not mean lifestyle failed. It means the risk is high enough that a clinician-guided plan may be necessary. The goal is not natural versus medicine. The goal is fewer heart attacks. Reduce rust, support nitric oxide, and improve the artery environment. Now let's talk about rust. Rust is the simple way to understand oxidation. When LDL becomes oxidized, it becomes more inflammatory. Oxidized LDL is more likely to attract immune cells and contribute to plaque growth. But here is where many people go wrong. They hear oxidation and think the solution is to take a handful of antioxidant pills. That is not the best approach. The better strategy is to eat a dietary pattern rich in colorful plant foods. Deeply colored foods bring fiber, polyphenols, anthocyanins, flavonoids, minerals, and many protective compounds that work together. Here is the group I want you to remember: deep purple and dark red foods. Blueberries, blackberries, purple cabbage, purple sweet potatoes, dark cherries, pomegranate, red grapes, beets, and red onion. These foods are not magic, but they are powerful because they help support antioxidant defenses, inflammation balance, blood vessel function, and metabolic health. Here's the phrase I want you to remember: eat color like your arteries can feel it, because your arteries can feel the difference between a beige, ultra-processed diet and a colorful, whole food diet. A beige diet usually means white bread, fries, crackers, pastries, and processed snacks. A colorful diet usually means berries, greens, beans, herbs, spices, vegetables, and whole foods. Those are completely different chemical messages. Pomegranate gets a lot of attention for artery health because it contains polyphenols that may support oxidative stress, blood pressure, and endothelial function. But we have to avoid exaggeration. Pomegranate is not a guaranteed artery unclogger. It is not a cure. And drinking pomegranate juice while still eating a high-sugar, low-fiber, ultra-processed diet will not save the arteries. The better message is this: pomegranate can be a supportive heart food when it replaces sugary drinks and fits into a larger heart-healthy pattern. If you use pomegranate juice, choose 100% pomegranate juice. Keep the portions small, and remember that whole pomegranate seeds provide fiber. Garlic is another popular heart health food. It contains sulfur compounds, including compounds related to allicin. Garlic may modestly support cholesterol, blood pressure, and inflammation markers, but garlic does not melt plaque. It does not soften plaque like butter in a pan. That claim is too strong. A more accurate statement is this: garlic may support heart health as part of a healthy diet, but it should not replace proven medical care. Research summaries from NCCIH note that garlic has been studied for cholesterol and blood pressure, but any cholesterol-lowering effect is small compared with cholesterol-lowering medicines. If you tolerate garlic, use it in food, crush it, let it sit for a few minutes, and add it to beans, vegetables, soups, olive oil dressings, and lentils. Use it to make healthy food taste good enough to repeat. But if you take blood thinners, have surgery coming up, have reflux, or use medications, talk to a healthcare professional before taking high-dose garlic supplements. Now let's connect oxidation to pressure. When arteries are narrow, stiff, and under high pressure, the whole system becomes more dangerous. High blood pressure can damage the artery lining, make plaque more likely to progress, make the heart work harder, and increase the risk of heart attack and stroke. One key molecule for healthy blood vessel relaxation is nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is like a message your body sends to your blood vessels saying, "Relax, open, let the blood flow." When nitric oxide signaling is healthy, arteries can widen more easily. This supports blood pressure, circulation, and endothelial function. One way your body makes nitric oxide is from dietary nitrates found in vegetables. The best nitrate-rich foods include arugula, spinach, Swiss chard, beets, celery, romaine, and bok choy. This is why beetroot has become famous for blood flow. Dietary nitrate can be converted into nitrite and then nitric oxide, helping support blood vessel relaxation. A systematic review and dose-response meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials found dietary nitrate improved blood pressure and vascular health markers. But here is a unique point most people miss. Your mouth is part of this process. Bacteria on your tongue help convert nitrate into nitrite. That means your oral microbiome plays a role in nitric oxide production. So if someone constantly uses harsh antibacterial mouthwash several times a day, they may interfere with part of that nitrate to nitric oxide pathway. That does not mean you should ignore your dentist, and it does not mean mouthwash is always bad. But it does mean your blood vessel health is connected to your mouth in a surprising way. So here is the daily habit. Build a green nitric oxide routine. Add arugula to lunch. Add spinach to a smoothie. Eat beet salad. Cook Swiss chard with garlic and olive oil. Add bok choy to soup. Snack on celery with hummus. This is not a detox, this is a daily vascular relaxation signal. Build the full artery protection lifestyle. Healthy fats do not scrape plaque away, but they can support a healthier artery environment. This is where fatty fish and olive oil come in. Omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, are found in fatty fish. They are linked with heart health and can help lower triglycerides. The American Heart Association recommends eating 2 servings of fish per week, especially fatty fish such as anchovies, herring, mackerel, salmon, sardines, oysters, and mussels. But let's be careful. Not all fish oil supplements are the same, and not everyone gets the same benefit from taking fish oil capsules. For general heart health, Fatty fish as part of a healthy diet is a stronger message than telling everyone to take supplements. If someone has high triglycerides or existing heart disease, they should talk with their healthcare provider about whether prescription omega-3 therapy is appropriate. Now let's talk about olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fat and polyphenols. But again, the magic is not just one molecule. The power is the whole dietary pattern. A Mediterranean-style eating pattern is one of the strongest heart protective patterns we know. It includes vegetables, legumes, fruits, nuts, whole grains, fish, herbs, spices, and extra virgin olive oil. It limits ultra-processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and excess saturated fat. In the PREDIME trial, people at high cardiovascular risk had fewer major cardiovascular events when assigned to a Mediterranean diet, supplemented with extra virgin olive oil or nuts, compared with a reduced fat control diet. So instead of asking, "What one compound should I take?" ask a better question. Can I replace butter, creamy sauces, fried foods, and processed fats with extra virgin olive oil, nuts, seeds, avocado, and fish? That is the artery-friendly swap. Your arteries do not experience your diet one supplement at a time. They experience the whole pattern. Now let's talk about calcium and stiffness. Over time, some plaque can become calcified. This means calcium becomes part of the plaque structure. Calcification is one reason doctors may use coronary artery calcium scoring to estimate cardiovascular risk in certain people. But here is where we must be careful. Vitamin K2 and vitamin D3 do not magically pull calcium out of arteries. That is not proven. Vitamin D matters, especially if someone is deficient. Vitamin K matters for calcium regulation and overall health. K2, rich foods like natto, certain fermented foods, eggs, and some cheeses may fit into a balanced diet. Leafy greens provide vitamin K1. But no one should claim that K2 and D3 are a calcium vacuum for arteries. Also, if someone takes warfarin or other medications affected by vitamin K, they need medical guidance before changing vitamin K intake. So the better strategy is not to chase calcification with supplements. The better strategy is to reduce the forces that drive plaque progression in the first place. Lower LDL, lower blood pressure, lower blood sugar, stop smoking, exercise, build muscle, eat fiber, improve sleep, treat insulin resistance, work with a clinician when risk is high. And that brings us to one of the strongest artery protective habits that is not sold in a bottle: exercise. Exercise is not just about burning calories. Exercise changes the artery environment. It can improve blood pressure, insulin sensitivity, triglycerides, endothelial function, inflammation, vascular flexibility, visceral fat, and the way your body uses glucose. A simple target is at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week, plus 2 days of muscle strengthening activity. That could look like 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 days a week, plus 2 days of resistance training. Resistance training can be weights, machines, resistance bands, bodyweight exercises, squats, push-ups, rows, or anything that safely challenges your muscles. Muscle is not just for appearance. Muscle is a glucose sink. Muscle helps manage blood sugar. Muscle supports metabolic health, and metabolic health supports artery health. So if you want to protect your arteries, do not only ask what to eat. Ask how often you move. Walk after meals. Take the stairs. Lift weights. Break up sitting. Do mobility work. Build your legs. Build your back. Build your grip. Build a body that helps your blood vessels stay flexible and responsive. Now let's bring everything together into one simple daily formula. I call this the artery protection plate. Not because it magically unclogs arteries overnight, but because it sends the right signals every single day. The first part is a fiber base. Choose beans, lentils, oats, barley, chickpeas, vegetables, or psyllium. This supports cholesterol, blood sugar, gut health, and fullness. The second part is a nitric oxide green. Choose arugula, spinach, Swiss chard, beet, bok choy, celery, or romaine. This supports blood vessel relaxation and healthy circulation. The third part is a purple or red polyphenol food. Choose blueberries, blackberries, purple cabbage, cherries, pomegranate, beets, red grapes, or red onion. This supports antioxidant defenses and helps reduce the rust environment. The fourth part is a healthy fat. Choose extra virgin olive oil, walnuts, chia seeds, flaxseed, avocado, or fatty fish. This supports a heart-healthy dietary pattern. The fifth part is flavor medicine. Use garlic, onions, herbs, spices, lemon, vinegar, turmeric, ginger, parsley, cilantro, rosemary, oregano. These make heart-healthy food taste good enough to repeat. And the sixth part is movement. Walk after meals. Lift 2 or 3 times a week. Break up sitting. Protect your sleep. Manage stress. Because plaque prevention is not just what happens on your plate, it is what happens in your whole life. Let me give you an example of a full artery protection meal. A bowl with lentils, spinach, roasted beets, purple cabbage, garlic, extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice, herbs, and walnuts. That one meal gives you fiber, plant protein, nitrates, polyphenols, healthy fat, and sulfur compounds. Another example is oatmeal with ground flaxseed, walnuts, blueberries, cinnamon, and no added sugar. Another example is salmon with arugula salad, chickpeas, pomegranate seeds, olive oil dressing, and steamed broccoli. Another example is a bean and vegetable soup with garlic, onions, barley, leafy greens, herbs, and a side of berries. This is how you make the science practical, not with fear, not with extremes, not with miracle claims, but with repeated meals that make your artery environment healthier. A heart attack can begin years before you feel chest pain. Your arteries are not pipes, they are living tissue. Plaque forms when the artery lining becomes dysfunctional. LDL enters the artery wall, LDL becomes oxidized, immune cells respond, inflammation grows, and plaque develops. The danger is not only blocked arteries, the danger is unstable plaque that can rupture and trigger a clot. So the goal is not to unclog arteries overnight. The goal is to reduce the forces that create and destabilize plaque. Stop feeding the injury by cutting added sugar and refined carbohydrates. Lower LDL traffic with soluble fiber, plant foods, and a clinician-guided plan when needed. Reduce rust with colorful polyphenol-rich foods. Support nitric oxide with leafy greens, beets, and healthy oral habits. Use healthy fats from fatty fish, olive oil, nuts, and seeds. Use garlic as a supportive food, not a miracle cure. Treat K2 and D3 honestly. Important for health, but not proven plaque removers. Exercise weekly because movement changes the artery environment. And remember this, you do not protect your heart with one superfood. You protect your heart by changing the environment that created the plaque. Less sugar injury, less LDL traffic, less oxidative rust, better blood pressure, more nitric oxide, more fiber, more movement, more plaque stability. That is the science-backed artery protection plan. Because your arteries are not pipes, they are living tissue. And every day, your food, your movement, your sleep, and your habits are either helping protect them or pushing them closer to danger.